For years, Meri Brown said nearly nothing. She smiled on camera, nodded through the tension, and let the world believe she had made peace with her place in Cody's world. But behind that calm face was a woman who'd seen everything, and said nothing. Until now. It is a quiet morning in Flagstaff. Desert light spills into the room through half-drawn blinds, while Meri sits alone at her kitchen table. In front of her is a small, soft leather journal that she hasn't opened in months. Beside it lies a printed statement from TLC announcing new cast interviews for season 21 and her phone, buzzing again and again with messages from producers and fans and one person she hasn't spoken to in months, Cody. He's nervous. He's heard the rumors that Meri's ready to talk, really talk, and he's doing everything he can to stop it. But Meri just stares at the screen for a long moment. Then, for the first time in years, she hits record. Her voice is steady. I stayed quiet for a long time, she says softly. But silence can only protect lies for so long. Cut to black. That clip, only 15 seconds, makes its way around the internet before the sun goes down. Millions of fans share it and name it Meri's turning point. But what no one knows yet, not the fans, not TLC, not even Cody, is that Meri isn't done. Because this time, she's bringing her own receipts. You see, this story doesn't start with Meri walking away, it starts with how she was written out quietly, strategically, one decision at a time. When the family moved to Flagstaff, money was tight, and emotions were tighter. Every wife had her role. Janelle managed the budgets, Christine handled logistics, Robin played public relations, and Meri? She handled survival. For years, Cody painted her as distant, withdrawn, even cold. He told the cameras that the love was gone. But behind the scenes, Meri was the one fielding producers, protecting her contract, and making sure her name wasn't erased completely from the show. She played the part Cody needed, the quiet one, the misunderstood one, because it kept her in the story long enough to plan her exit. Well, that was the plan, and now it's underway. When Meri opens her journal that morning, the pages aren't filled with memories. They're filled with records, production notes, old text messages, and financial details she was never supposed to keep. And the story she's about to tell isn't just about heartbreak. It's about control, contracts, and how silence can be used as a weapon. She flips through it, and one line catches her eye, a note scribbled in Cody's handwriting from years ago. Remember, what happens off camera stays off camera. Meri smiles faintly and whispers, not anymore. Because today isn't about forgiveness. It's about truth. And the truth Cody tried to hide is about to echo louder than anything he has ever said on television. That evening, this journal lies open on Meri's table. The air seems still, as it does before a storm. Every page tells a story in its own way, not emotions, not memories, but details, dates, notes, conversations she had silently jotted down over the years while the cameras rolled on everything but the truth. Her handwriting is neat, deliberate. She had always been organized, even when her world wasn't. The notes were harmless at first, reminders about filming days, meal schedules, family budgets. As time went on, though, the entries changed. She started writing down words said in passing by Cody, moments that made her pause. One entry from 2 years ago reads, Cody told Robin not to mention the rental house payments on camera. Said it would confuse the fans. Another, meeting about property deeds cancelled again. Cody says TLC needs the drama to stretch the storyline. For the first time, Meri realizes how long she's been collecting the truth without meaning to. Every quiet note was a breadcrumb leading to the reality behind the family's illusion. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's a new message, not from a fan, not from TLC, but from inside the production team. The text reads, I saw your video. I think you should know something. Check your email. She hesitates before opening it, but curiosity wins. The email contains screenshots of internal messages, conversations between Cody, a producer, and a showrunner. The tone is casual, but the content is damning. They're talking about limiting Meri's screen time and shifting the emotional focus to Robin. One message from Cody goes as follows, if Meri wants to stay on, she plays nice. Otherwise, we phase her out quietly. Meri stares at the screen. There it is, proof that her silence wasn't just overlooked, it was engineered. She calls Christine later that night. Her voice is trembling, but from exhaustion rather than fear. I think I have something big, she says. Christine listens silently as Meri reads parts of the emails. There's a long pause before Christine answers. You realize what this means, right? This isn't just family business anymore. This is production interference. They used your silence against you. Meri exhales slowly. I know. And I let them. Christine's voice softens. You didn't let them, Meri. You survived them. They stay on the call for hours, trading stories, piecing together details that never made sense before, the inconsistencies, the missing episodes, the edits that always seemed to favor one narrative, Cody's. At the end of the call, Meri sits in the quiet again, the sound of the desert wind brushing along the window. She looks at her reflection in the dark glass, older, wiser, steadier. This time, she whispers, I'm not the one being written out. At the break of dawn, she starts to draft an email, not to TLC, not to Cody, but to a journalist she had come to trust. Attached are the photos, the messages, and a copy of her journal. She had lived inside a storyline for years. Now she's about to take back authorship. And once that truth leaves her lips, it cannot be taken back. The morning the story drops, Meri doesn't even realize it. She's halfway through her first cup of coffee when her phone begins to explode with notifications, Twitter mentions, Instagram tags, unread messages stacking faster than she can open them. Someone leaked the screenshots. Not just a few lines, all of them. The messages, the meeting notes, even the quote from Cody, if Meri wants to stay, she plays nice. Otherwise, we phase her out quietly. Within hours, the entertainment sites pick it up. Headlines are flooding the internet. Meri Brown exposes TLC and Cody Brown's manipulation. Sister wives scandal, the hidden plan to silence Meri. Fans are incensed. The comments section becomes a wildfire as people who once doubted her now rally around her, calling her brave, demanding accountability. TLC headquarters, mayhem. Legal teams scramble to issue statements. Producers hold emergency calls. One executive utters the words, "This could end the show." Meanwhile, Cody is pacing in his living room with his phone in hand, furious. His voice can be heard down the hall. She had no right. None of this is true. But deep down, he knows it is. Every word, every timestamp, every deleted email. It's all his handwriting, his choices, his control unraveling in real time. He calls Meri, but she doesn't answer. He leaves a voice message that sounds more like a warning than a plea. You're making a mistake, he says, voice tight. You think the fans are on your side now, but they'll turn on you like they always do. Don't do this. She listens once and then deletes it. That night, Christine and Janelle come over. No cameras, no producers, just three women who have seen too much and finally understand each other. The journal sits on the table between them. Christine flips through the pages, shaking her head. He really wrote this stuff, she asks quietly. Janelle nods. He thought no one would ever see it. That's how confident he was. They are silent for a long time. The air hums with something that feels like both grief and relief. Finally, Meri says, they wrote me out of my own story. I just wrote myself back in. Outside, the sky darkens. Inside, they make a decision not to attack, not to destroy, but to tell the truth, in their own words. Meri will record an interview. Christine will back her up. Janelle will share her own records if needed. This time, they won't let Cody or TLC edit their voices. As night begins to fall, Meri sits in front of her camera again. She presses record again, the soft red light blinks alive. This isn't about revenge, she says in an even, measured tone. It's about ownership, about my story, my truth, my voice. Her midnight video uploads instantly rack up thousands of views. By morning, it'll have gone past 1 million. And somewhere in Flagstaff, Cody will wake up to headlines he can't control, a narrative he can't spin, and a truth he can't hide anymore. Because for the first time in years, Meri isn't the one staying silent. Cody is. The sun rises over Flagstaff, but nothing feels normal anymore. For the first time in over a decade, the Brown family isn't being filmed, they're being investigated. TLC's production vans stay parked. Crew members wait for instructions. A thick cloud of uncertainty hangs over the set. Cody storms into a conference call with producers, his tone sharp and defensive. You need to shut this down, he says. This is slander. She's lying, and she's dragging the network down with her. But the producers sound distant, cautious. One replies, Cody, the documents look real. And the emails, well, they trace back to your account. He ends the call abruptly, pacing the floor. Robin watches from the kitchen doorway, worry etched across her face. You said those messages didn't exist anymore, she whispers. Cody rubs his temples. I deleted them years ago. How did she even get them? Meanwhile, in a small office across town, Meri sits with her phone off, away from the noise. She's not celebrating. She's processing. Her story is trending worldwide, but fame isn't what she wanted, closure is. She scrolls through a few of the comments, some supportive, others skeptical, but one stands out. We always knew you were stronger than they let you be. She smiles faintly. Later that afternoon, TLC releases a carefully worded statement. We are aware of the recent developments surrounding members of the Sister Wives family. We are taking steps to review and address the concerns raised by Meri Brown. It's corporate talk, but everyone understands the subtext. The network is protecting itself, not Cody. In the days that follow, Cody launches his counterattack. He records a late-night live stream, his face tense, voice cracking under pressure. I never silenced Meri, he says. I gave her opportunities, but she refused to move forward. These leaks are out of context. He smiles nervously, trying to sound composed, but the comments section fills with disbelief. Out of context, one fan writes. Your own words did the talking. Another comment simply says, gaslighting doesn't work anymore. Across town, Christine and Janelle watch the stream together. He still doesn't get it, Christine murmurs. He's playing the same role, even now. Janelle nods. Because that's the only script he knows. That evening, Meri steps outside her home. The desert air feels lighter. She looks up at the sky, a deep purple fading into night, and takes a slow breath. She doesn't need to prove anything anymore. The world saw the truth for itself. She returns inside and opens her laptop. Her inbox is flooded with requests for interviews, major outlets, talk shows, podcasts. But one message catches her eye, an email from a woman in Utah. It reads, Thank you, Meri. You reminded me it's never too late to speak up. Meri closes the laptop gently, a soft smile touching her face. For the first time in years, she doesn't feel like a character in someone else's story. She feels like herself. And as the headlines continue to swirl, one fact remains clear. Cody's world runs on damage control. Meri's runs on peace. When the call came from the network's news division, Meri hesitated. The producers promised she would have control over her words, no cuts, no retakes, no Cody. After a long silence she said, all right, but I'm bringing my notes. A week later, under studio lights instead of Flagstaff sun, she sits across from the interviewer. Cameras hum softly, the crew keeps their distance. The first question is gentle. Meri, why speak now? She folds her hands. Because silence started to sound like agreement, she says. And I never agreed to be erased. The interviewer nods. Did Cody know you were planning to reveal those emails? Her gaze doesn't waver. He knew I kept records. He just didn't believe I'd use them. Clips from her statement roll behind her, images of the leaked messages, her calm voice reading them aloud. The audience watches in stunned quiet. Then she continues. For years, we were told to protect the family image. But what we were really protecting was his version of events. That's over. The broadcast airs on a Sunday night. Within minutes, social media floods with reactions, hashtags, edits, fan theories. Viewers call her brave, some call her bitter, but all of them are watching. Ratings skyrocket. Even TLC issues a short post. We respect Meri Brown's right to tell her story. Cody, meanwhile, is pacing again. He texts Robin, then deletes the message. He drafts a public statement, rewrites it 5 times, never sends it. The network that once treated him as the show's anchor is suddenly quiet. Meri doesn't gloat. She returns home to her inn in Utah, the place she built with her own hands, far from cameras and chaos. Guests check in as usual. She makes coffee for them, answers emails, then opens her phone to find thousands of new followers and one message that makes her pause: "You turned pain into truth. Thank you." That night she walks through the empty hallways of the inn. The wood floors creak softly. She stops by the window, looking out at the dark desert. "I didn't destroy a family," she whispers to herself. "I just stopped protecting a lie." The interview changes everything. Fans begin demanding accountability from TLC, sponsors quietly back away from Cody's projects. More former crew members start talking, off the record, at first, then publicly. Meri never planned to start a movement, but she did. Her voice, once edited, softened, cut, has become the loudest one in the room. And as the world finally listens, Cody realizes the truth he spent years hiding is now the story everyone wants to hear. The fallout doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in slowly: missed calls, cancelled interviews, awkward silences in the hallways of TLC headquarters. The man who once ran the narrative now finds himself at the mercy of it. Cody starts showing up late to meetings, sunglasses on indoors, voice sharp with frustration. Producers whisper that he's demanding rewrites for upcoming episodes. "We can fix it in post," he keeps saying, but everyone knows the damage is already public. Viewers have seen the receipts. His phone never stops buzzing, messages from fans, lawyers, old friends asking if it's true. He ignores most of them. When he does reply, his words come out defensive: "It's all exaggerated. She's doing it for attention." But the audience has turned. Even longtime supporters begin posting side-by-side clips: his contradictions, his temper, his control. Each viral edit erases the last of his credibility. Meanwhile, TLC executives gather behind closed doors. The flagship family brand they built is now a liability. One senior producer says quietly, "The women are the story now. Cody's just noise." Within days, the network announces a creative hiatus. Translation: they're cutting him loose. Back in Flagstaff, Cody's frustration spills into public. A neighbor records him arguing on his phone, voice echoing across the yard: "They made me the villain. I built that show." The clip circulates online within hours. Hashtags like #CodyUnraveled and #MeriWasRight trend for days. Meri watches from afar, not with glee but with quiet resignation. She never wanted revenge, just honesty. When reporters call for comment, she gives the same answer every time: "I've already said what I needed to say." Christine and Janelle visit her at the inn that weekend. They sit by the fireplace with mugs of tea, the glow of the flames soft against their faces. Christine sighs: "It's strange, isn't it? All those years of walking on eggshells, and it only took one truth to shatter the floor." Janelle nods. "And look who's still standing." Meri smiles faintly. Maybe the silence wasn't weakness after all. Maybe it was patience. Outside, a light snow begins to fall over the desert, soft and quiet, the kind of peace that once felt impossible. The camera doesn't follow her anymore. There's no script, no retake, no Cody waiting to interrupt. Just Meri, free to exist on her own terms. Back in Flagstaff, Cody scrolls through the headlines on his phone. TLC confirms new spin-off focusing on the women of Sister Wives. He stares at the screen, jaw tight. He was the center once. Now he's a footnote. He tosses the phone onto the couch, muttering to himself, "They wouldn't even have a show without me." But deep down, he knows it's over. The network has made its choice. The audience has, too. And Meri? She's finally found what she'd been denied for years: her own ending, written in her own voice. The story doesn't end with silence, it evolves into something stronger. As the storm around Cody settles into a dull roar, a quieter movement begins to form. For the first time in years, the women who once lived under the same fractured roof begin to speak with one voice. Christine is the first to call. Her tone isn't angry, it's resolved. "We've all lived under the same shadow, Meri," she says. "You were just the first to step into the light." Janelle joins in. "What if we stopped letting people write our story for us? We could build something honest. Ours." Within weeks, the three of them meet in person: no producers, no contracts, no cameras. They gather at Meri's Inn, where the scent of coffee and old pine fills the air. For hours, they talk about what really happened: the control, the emotional games, the years of silence that became survival. It's not a pity session. It's strategy. Meri takes notes, not as a show participant but as a businesswoman. We can tell the truth without tearing each other down, she says. If we do it right, it becomes something bigger than us. A space for women who've been silenced, too. The idea sticks. Soon they're working with a small digital production team, people who left TLC after the scandal, planning a new project. It won't be reality television. It'll be storytelling. Conversations about healing, accountability, and strength. Meri insists on the title herself, rewritten. When word leaks that the three women are collaborating, the internet lights up again. Headlines read, "Sister Wives Reborn, the women tell their own story." Fans flood the comments with excitement. Finally, one writes, "The truth without Cody talking over it." Back in Flagstaff, Cody scrolls through the news in disbelief. "They're nothing without me," he mutters to no one. But he can see the numbers, millions of views, sponsorships lining up, press coverage calling the women TV's most unexpected comeback. At the inn, Meri and the others record their first episode. No makeup artists, no teleprompters, just three women and a microphone between them. The first line comes from Meri, "For years, we were told to smile through it. But this time, we're not smiling. We're speaking." The video goes live on a Thursday night. By morning, it has 3 million views. Women from across the country share their own stories under the hashtag rewritten. Later that evening, Meri stands alone on the porch of the inn, looking out at the open desert. The air smells like rain. Behind her, laughter drifts from the kitchen where Christine and Janelle are cleaning up after filming. For the first time in a long time, it doesn't sound like survival, it sounds like freedom. She closes her eyes for a moment and whispers, "We were never meant to be background characters." The next day, a new email lands in her inbox from a producer who left TLC months earlier. It's short, just one line, "When the truth is this powerful, it doesn't need editing." Meri smiles. The show that once confined her is gone. The story that once defined her is hers again. And in reclaiming her voice, she's done something Cody never could, built something real. The backlash against Cody doesn't arrive like a single wave, it comes in tides. First, the silence from TLC turns into absence. His scenes vanish from reruns, the promotional material quietly drops his image. Then the sponsors leave. The speaking engagements dry up. One by one, the safety nets he used to control the story disappear. He tries to rebuild the old image. A new social media channel, a few live Q&A sessions, promises to set the record straight. But the audience that once listened now scrolls past. The few who still comment do it with the same question, "Where's your proof, Cody?" He has none. At first, he blames Meri. Then the network. Then the fans. But deep down, in the space between anger and regret, he knows the truth. He's the one who said those words. He's the one who made silence a rule. He just never expected the silence to end. Meanwhile, something unexpected happens online. The story stops being just about reality TV and starts becoming something more, a conversation. Women who watched the show for years begin sharing their own experiences of being minimized, of being written out of their own lives. Forums that once discussed plotlines now trade advice about independence, finance, and self-worth. Every post carries a familiar echo, "If Meri could speak, so can we." News outlets pick up on it. From reality show to reality shift, one headline reads. Another, "Meri Brown's confession inspires a movement." Interviews follow, not about the scandal, but about the ripple effect it created. Through it all, Meri remains careful. No dramatic statements, no victory laps. When a journalist asks her what she feels about Cody's fall, she answers softly, "I don't want him destroyed. I just want him to understand what silence costs." She's invited to panels, podcasts, women's conferences. Every time, the question comes, was it worth it? And every time, she gives the same answer, truth always is. Back in Flagstaff, Cody starts spending most days alone. Robin still visits, still tries to help him rebuild, but the spark is gone. The man who once controlled a family, a show, a narrative, now struggles to control a single headline. One evening, he scrolls through an article titled "Meri Brown's New Chapter." The photo shows her outside her inn, smiling, genuinely smiling, with Christine and Janelle beside her. There's a quote under it, "When you stop being afraid of losing someone, you finally get to find yourself." He closes the laptop, stares at the dark screen, and for the first time in years, the silence feels unbearable. Meanwhile, in Utah, the women's new series continues to grow. Their third episode trends on YouTube, their guest interviews draw crowds. The project called Rewritten isn't just a show anymore, it's a symbol. Viewers aren't watching to see drama unfold, they're watching to see healing happen. And the irony is impossible to miss. Cody built a family brand on control and conflict. Meri, Christine, and Janelle built one on truth and recovery. One ended in chaos. The other created community. As the episode fades out, Meri's voice narrates the closing line. "For years, I thought silence was strength. But real strength is what you say after you've been quiet for too long. It's simple. It's honest. And this time, it's entirely hers." The first whispers about a reunion start online, as they always do. A fan posts a clip from Rewritten with the caption, "Imagine if all the sister wives sat down together, no scripts, no edits, just truth." The post goes viral overnight. People start tagging the women, then TLC, then each other. Within a week, every outlet is asking the same thing, will there be a reunion? Meri sees the noise but doesn't answer at first. She's cautious. The word reunion carries memories of staged family meetings, of forced smiles, of Cody's voice dominating the room. But when Christine calls, her tone is steady. "If we do this, we do it our way. No network, no spin. Just us." Janelle agrees. "We're not reopening wounds. We're closing them, publicly." 3 weeks later, they meet at a neutral location, a quiet retreat center outside Sedona. Cameras are set up by Meri's own team, not TLC. The air is heavy, the setting calm, the kind of silence that demands honesty. Meri arrives first, dressed simply, her journal in hand. Christine and Janelle follow soon after. Then, for the first time in nearly 2 years, Cody walks in. No entourage, no producers. Just him. The years show on his face, not just age, but wear. The women don't stand to greet him. They don't glare either. They just wait. He sits down across from them, clears his throat. "I don't even know where to start." Meri looks at him, her expression calm but unflinching. "Start with the truth." For a long time, he doesn't speak. The cameras hum quietly in the background. Finally, he says, "I was scared. Losing control felt like losing the family. I thought if I kept the story mine, I could keep everything together." Janelle's voice cuts softly through the silence. "You didn't lose the family because you lost control. You lost it because you refused to share it." Cody nods, a small, tired motion. "You're probably right." Christine leans forward. "We're not here for apologies. We're here so you understand the cost." He looks at Meri. "You made me the villain." She shakes her head. "No, Cody. You did that yourself. I just stopped hiding it." The moment lands heavy, but something shifts, not forgiveness, but finality. The power that used to belong to him alone now rests squarely with them. After the session ends, the crew packs up quietly. The footage will later air as the final conversation, an exclusive follow-up to Rewritten. But in that moment, there's no performance. Just 4 people standing in the fading desert light, the ghosts of their shared past stretching long and thin. Cody turns to leave first. He pauses by the door and says softly, "I hope someday you'll see I loved you all. I just didn't know how to show it." Meri doesn't answer. Instead, she opens her journal, writes something down, and closes it again. When Christine and Janelle ask later what she wrote, she smiles faintly. Just the last page. For years, their lives were written by someone else's hand. But now, for the first time, the ink belongs to them. The reunion isn't about reconciling. It's about reclaiming. And when the episode finally airs, the audience doesn't see a fight. They see closure. Because some endings aren't loud, they're peaceful. And peace, for these women, is the loudest statement of all. The morning after the final conversation airs, the world feels quieter. The constant noise that had followed the Brown family for more than a decade finally fades. No more staged interviews. No more speculation. No more pretending. Just quiet, the kind of quiet that feels earned. Meri wakes early, sunlight spilling through the curtains of her inn. The phone on her nightstand blinks with new messages, reporters, old friends, women she's never met thanking her for what she shared. She scrolls through a few and then sets it aside. For the first time in a long time, she doesn't feel the need to explain herself. The truth is already out there, living its own life. Downstairs, the smell of fresh coffee fills the air. Christine and Janelle are sitting at one of the tables, laughing softly. They stayed overnight after the reunion taping, unwilling to go their separate ways just yet. When Meri joins them, Janelle lifts her mug. "You did it," she says. Meri shakes her head with a smile. "No. We did it." They eat breakfast together, unhurried. Talk turns not to ratings or social media trends but to small, ordinary things. Christine's new business, Janelle's next trip, Meri's plans for expanding the inn. Ordinary feels miraculous after so many years of living inside a drama. Later, when the others leave, Meri stands on the porch alone. The desert stretches out before her, wide and golden. The wind carries the faint scent of rain. She closes her eyes and thinks about everything that's happened, the pain, the loss, the confrontation, the freedom. She realizes the story was never really about exposing Cody. It was about finding herself in the silence he left behind. For years, she waited for someone else to give her permission to speak. Now she knows she never needed it. Inside, her laptop sits open to a blank document titled The Book of Silence. It's the memoir she's been secretly writing for months. She starts typing the first sentence slowly. When you spend enough time being quiet, you learn what your voice really sounds like. Outside, a car pulls into the driveway, a guest arriving early. She greets them with the same warmth she's always shown, the kind that isn't performative anymore. It's real. Back in Flagstaff, Cody watches the reunion one last time. He doesn't comment publicly, doesn't post online. He just sits alone, the glow of the television flickering across his face. There's no anger left, just reflection. For the first time, he listens instead of talking. The final moments of the final conversation replay on the screen, Meri closing her journal, smiling slightly as she says, "Every story has a writer. I just decided to pick up the pen." He sighs quietly and turns off the TV. Weeks later, a small documentary team films at Meri's Inn for a follow-up special. She's relaxed, grounded. When asked how she feels about everything that's happened, she answers simply, "I think the legacy is this: you don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to tell the truth, even when your voice shakes." The camera pans out as she walks along the porch, the desert stretching endlessly beyond her. The sun dips low, painting everything gold. There's no dramatic music, no cliffhanger, just peace. For years, the show turned her life into a spectacle. Now, she's turned it into a story of survival, truth, and quiet power. And as the screen fades to black, her voice lingers. Silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes, it's just the space before you finally speak.